Hey everybody, it's Jason with Parallel Reality coming back with you here today with an article from The Federalist. This is dated October 30th, and it says liberal Jews have no right to be surprised by progressive anti-Semitism, which I was assured all these last few years that that wasn't the thing on the left. The left were the compassionate people and everything. So let's go ahead and get into this because as you've seen with what's happened since the massacre in Israel on October 7th, the left has come out pretty much as like uh huge anti-Semites. So let's go ahead and check it out. Subheadline says, sooner or later, radical leftists are going to be emboldened, and sooner is now. And the writer is 100% correct. Into the article, it says, in the Los Angeles Times, Erwin Chemerinsky, dean of Berkeley Law School, tells us nothing has prepared him for the prevalence of anti-Semitism on campus. Nothing? Says not even the Jew-free zones students set up at Berkeley last year. I had no idea about that. I might actually, after we're done, have to check on or click on this link to find that out. I didn't know that. Says not the 11 student groups that promised to exclude any Zionist, wink wink, speakers on campus. Not the Jewish students who complained they didn't feel welcome on campus. Not putting that out. Not last month's appearance of communist PLO loving progressive heroine Angela Davis, who's an awful human being, by the way, who once argued that Jewish prisoners of conscience in the Soviet Union deserved what they got. As I just said, she is not a good person. In a recent Wall Street Journal piece, Stephen Davidoff Solomon, a law professor at Berkeley, implores firms not to hire his own students because they have become a clique who advocate hate and practice discrimination, and this trend did not start yesterday. Chemerinsky is now traumatized that some Jew hating Berkeley student asked him to get rid of the Zionists so she could feel safe. Now, just so everybody knows here, you keep seeing the word Zionist pop up, and the left likes to use that as a cudgel against patriotic Jews, which is all Zionism is. It's just Jewish patriotism and Jewish nationalism. Like, that's it. So I don't know why that's being used as a bad word, but you call someone a Zionist that's a Jew, and they're basically like, yeah. I mean, it'd be like someone running around the United States and saying, you patriot, you just want this country to, you want people just to be proud of this country. You'd be like, is that an insult? Like, okay. So just so you guys know what it means. So it used to be something of a pejorative, but we've definitely taken it back. So it's not a bad word anymore. So it says he's unhappy that he's been accused of participating in a Zionist conspiracy. And after 70 years of supernatural cluelessness, the dean of a prestigious law school has apparently figured out that Zionist is just a code word for Jew, which, if that's really true, and he just figured that out, I know the author's being snarky, but like if this guy just figured that out, then yeah, well, there's a problem. Because a year ago, Chemerinsky was asking people not to generalize about BDS on campus, which is the Boycott, Divest, and Sanction movement, which is an anti-Semitic movement, an anti-Israeli movement as well. Says arguing that it is nonsense and false narrative to claim that anti-Semitism was a problem on campuses. I have seen little anti-Semitism among our faculty, staff, and students at Berkeley Law on the campus. Whoops. So it says partisans like Chemerinsky willingly wished away anti Semitism and its Soviet concocted 20th century iteration, anti Zionism. But detestation of Donald Trump doesn't change the fact that bigoted ideas about Jews are inherent in modern progressivism, and it will spread as Democrats turn harder left. None of this happens in a vacuum. The Women's March, the leading progressive activism group of the Trump years, was founded by a gaggle of Farrakhan boosters and led by board members who are spreading blood libels and conspiracy theories. Yeah, you should go check that out because that's certainly true. It says the original Black Lives Matter platform accused the Jewish state of being complicit in the genocide taking place against the Palestinian people, which is not a thing, and called it an apartheid state, which is also not a thing. So many things that Black Lives Matter got wrong, which, well, that shouldn't be new to anybody. Says, what did it have to do with civil rights? Nothing. And yet 600 plus suicidal Jewish organizations and synagogues supported Black Lives Matter. Yeah, I remember at the very start of the Black Lives Matter movement, they had it in their charter that they were basically anti-Semitic, and they had this stuff in there, and they got rid of it after there was like huge backlash, but they haven't strayed from their core principles. As the Jewish Council for Public Affairs even sent out talking points at the time defending BLM, contending that it is unfair, untrue, and inimical to our own best interest to characterize the movement as anti-Semitic. You're idiots because they quite literally said they're basically Black Lives Matter was like, we're anti-Semites, and this group's coming out saying, oh no, we shouldn't characterize them as anti-Semitic, you absolute morons. There's now that BLM is openly praising paragliders who rape, disembowel pregnant women and murder civilians, we know it is true. Because none of this is to even mention the pro-Hamas faction in Congress. Every election, the squad adds members, and every year, Democrats coddle those people who sound like they're quoting the protocols of the Elders of Zion for fear of being called Islamophobic or racist. Then again, 400 congressional staffers allegedly signed a pro-Hamas statement, and that's what the ceasefire position is. So the squad has allies. Many of them work in editorial boards, op-ed pages, and newsrooms. The same progressive imbued media that melted down when moral degenerates marched in Charlottesville treat the thousands of moral degenerates who participate in hundreds of Charlottesvilles across the country as innocuous protesters. Yeah, a funny double standard there, isn't it? Where simply like a couple of idiots out in one small town do something bad and everybody says that it's bad. Like everybody said it was bad. And then like there's tens of thousands of people on the other side of the political spectrum doing things that are actually out there chanting genocidal slogans, and people, the media is like, oh, well, they're just, practicing free speech. They just kind of wash it off. So even Jonathan Greenblatt of the Anti-Defamation League, a partisan group that spent years highlighting every dog whistle real and imagined while ignoring or actively diminishing the rise of anti-Semitism on the left, and make no mistake, the ADL is extremely far to the left, said he felt compelled to ask MSNBC, the leading left-wing cable network, who was writing the scripts, Hamas. And you should go, if you haven't, go check out what he said on MSNBC. I mean, he he's a guy that just like basically has I would say just being facetious, like an open seat on MSNBC to come and just spew BS because the guy's a complete partisan. But he came on MSNBC after this happened and just railed on them for what they did. And go check it out if you have a moment. So it says, it's finished. So starting this next paragraph, the previous one ended with who is writing the scripts, Hamas. Paragraph starts, no, not Hamas, but their allies. MSNBC is where propagandists from the Qatar-run state-run theocratic network Al Jazeera go to work. They host shows and join. Uh, is it Al Jazeera? Okay, or Al Sharpton. I see Al's over. I'm like, wait, is it Al or AI? Sorry. There's the host. They host shows and join Al if the Jews want to get it on. Tell them to pin their yarmulkes back and come over to my Al Sharpton, cozying up to the Morning Joe crew. One of them, Mehdi Hassan, has called non-Muslims cattle and people of no intelligence. This would be tantamount to hiring a private reporter to cover the Cold War. Yeah, Mehdi Hassan's also just God. There's he's on the list of worst people in media, in my opinion. Like the guy, and he's an idiot as well. Said it is only anti-Semitism for Democrats if you say something unkind about their sugar daddy, George Soros, an enemy of the Jewish people, even though he is Jewish. But this is correct that he is an enemy of the Jewish people. He is an actual Nazi sympathizer, and you can go find quotes from him that say that. Does the billionaire not only funds BLM but numerous Jewish front groups to create the perception of support for terrorists? Two of these groups, Jewish Voice for Peace and If Not Now, beneficiaries of at least $15 million, were at the Capitol calling for Israel to give Hamas terrorists a pass. Maybe, just maybe, giving unfettered loyalty to a president who played footsie with the likes of Farrakhan and Jeremiah Wright, who's talking about Obama here, and who was good friends with former PLO spokesperson Agitprop Rashid Khalidi, was a clue that this kind of thinking would be normalized on the mainstream left. Of course, not only did Obama, and there we go, and to a similar extent Biden, bolster the Islamists in Iran, an effort to blunt Israel's regional power, but he also reached out to Hamas and pumped millions into Gaza and Hamas. Our elite schools and protest movements were philanthrop. Jesus, I cannot talk. Where philanthropic Jews drop millions every year, sign petitions defending baby killers, intersectionality, decolonization. They're all intertwined with identitarianism and anti-Semitism. Berkeley, like most campuses, is teeming with Jew-baiting race hustlers and pseudo-intellectuals who function in closed-minded havens for extremists. Sooner or later, those extremists were going to be emboldened. Sooner or later, they were going to be in positions of power. Sooner is now. I couldn't agree with this article more. It's not possible to agree with it more. So let me know what you guys think about this in the comments below. And I don't really have much else to say. I think this article said it everything. So like, share, subscribe, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.